Yeah, welcome back to another episode of the Format Podcast live. Yes. And this is a special breaking episode because obviously we have breaking news in the world of sports coming out of the NFL. And as you can see by the thumbnail, we're going to talk today about Robert Saleh, former head coach of the New York Jets, getting fired this morning. So we're going to talk about that. I'm going to give a couple minutes. Let's see if we get anybody in the chat. We got a couple in there. But before we get started, you know what time it is. If you're here on YouTube and you haven't already, please make sure you go ahead, click that like, that subscribe, that notification bell. Make sure you're kept up to date whenever we drop new content on the channel. If you want the audio-only version of the podcast, open up your audio podcast platform, hit the search bar, type in The Format Podcast, and we should come right up. If you're enjoying the content, make sure you give us that like, that 5-star review, and drop a comment. All that stuff helps us rise in the algorithm, helps us find more sports fans, helps more sports fans find us. And finally, make sure you write it down, put it in your phone, set an alarm, do whatever you got to do to remember. Saturday nights at 7 p.m. we are live here on the Format Podcast, and we'll give you the opportunity to call in, talk to us, get at me. I love it. I can't. Man, so obviously you see, like I said, Robert Saleh dismissed as head coach of the New York Jets this morning. And so Robert Saleh came over from the San Francisco 49ers, I want to say 3 years ago, 3 off seasons ago, right? So 2 years as the head coach. And then obviously now this was his third, and he got fired. This is something that I probably saw coming. I've talked to my guys about this, my friends, we discuss sports, and this is something I kind of saw coming. However, I didn't see it coming this soon, right? I didn't think it would be a situation where, I kind of joked with them saying, if they lose this game, he might not get on the plane. Good thing he speaks English and they're in London, right? But in all seriousness, had no idea that this was going to happen this soon. I think I saw kind of what I perceived to be a rift between Aaron Rodgers and Robert Saleh. I didn't think that there was kind of a fit. It didn't appear that they have the requisite closeness that you generally see between the best coach quarterback combos, obviously excepting Bill Belichick and Tom Brady. They were just kind of their own entity, but generally you see a better connection between those two positions, starting quarterback and the head coach on a very successful team. And you didn't see that at all with Robert Saleh or Aaron Rodgers. And they tried to downplay it, but if you know anything about body language or you listen to the things that these guys said, it didn't sound right. Didn't sound like it was going to work. And at the end of the day, it didn't work. So yeah, Robert Saleh, he gets fired as head coach, and taking over as interim head coach. And this is something I thought was interesting, was defensive coordinator Jeff Ulbrich. And the reason I thought that was interesting is because why? The defense was doing its job. It's the offense that wasn't showing up, but we'll get to that. So this is kind of, man, this is frustrating to me. I'm a fan of Saleh. I think I think he was an outstanding defensive coordinator. Obviously, that's how he got the head coaching job. But I don't believe that as a head coach, he was put in the best position to succeed, right? If any of you knows anything about the military, or you've seen any videos of like Navy SEAL selection and training, one of the things you see is they'll be in an 8 or 12-foot pool, and they will have their hands behind their back, and their hands will be tied up, and their feet will be tied at the ankles, and they will have to swim down to the bottom of the pool, pick up items, and then swim back up with it again with their hands and feet tied. And I kind of feel like this is what Robert Saleh had been going through with the Jets. Early on in his tenure there, he had quarterbacks like Mike White and Joe Flacco. Now, Joe Flacco has since seen a resurgence last year in Cleveland and now in Indianapolis this season. So I kind of put him out of it. And Joe Flacco's a champion, so I kind of take him out of it. But Mike White wasn't good. Obviously, the Jets 2 years ago, they drafted Zach Wilson. And so the owner really liked Woody Johnson. The owner of the Jets really liked Zach Wilson. He was a big fan of his. And so was the GM who drafted him. And so that was problematic because what's going on, Underrated Darkness? Good to see you. I think you're new, man. Go ahead, do me a favor. Hit like and subscribe in the chat, and hit the share button, man. Share button's powerful. I appreciate you being here. Thanks so much. So anyway, we got a situation where, again, Robert Saleh is fired, and he's replaced with the defensive coordinator, which I thought was odd because the defense is doing its thing, right? And so why would you replace him with the defensive coordinator? the defense. If my point is, if you're going to replace him with the defensive coordinator, that wasn't even necessary because the defense again is playing well. So anyway, let's go on. If you want to look at the statistics, right, for defense this year, the Jets are one of the better units in the league. They have very good players on each level of that defense. And through week 5, right, which just concluded, the Jets are number 1 overall number 2 overall in total defense, right? Very good. Number 2 overall in pass defense, right? Very good. Now they dropped down some in rushing defense to number 14, so kind of middle of the pack in rush defense. So, that's just so. And in scoring defense, they're number 5. So overall, this is a very good defensive unit, right? The Jets play really well. Number 7 in red zone defense, so don't give up a lot of touchdowns in that situation. Number 6 in third down defense. So clearly a very well-coached, well-designed unit on that side of the football. Cool. So you've got that. So what does that tell you? If the defense is doing all this work, but the Jets are still only at 2-3, that says to me, wait, the offense is the side of the ball that's having problems. So why are you going to fire Robert Saleh? All right, we'll get to that. I appreciate you, Underrated Darkness. Thank you, brother. So yeah, what happens here is, so remember, I said that Robert Saleh was handcuffed because the owner and the GM, they were big fans of Zach Wilson, who is now, I think he's in Denver, probably the 3rd quarterback on that roster. But yeah, they were big fans of Zach Wilson. Zach Wilson wasn't getting it done. As you know, the defense has been very good for the last few years. So what was the prevailing thought there? The prevailing thought was, all we need is a quarterback that is competent, and that can take us over the hump, right? We've seen it before. We've seen, granted, it's a different game, but we saw it with the dominant Ravens of 2000, who I believe is the greatest defense of all time. We can go back further, again, very different game, but we can go back further to the 85 Bears, right? Second best defense of all time. We can go back to, the 2002 Buccaneers, another one of probably the top 10 defenses of all time, right? We can go back to, the 2013 offense was a little better, but still, that was a team that was dominated by defense. The point I'm trying to make is, if you have a dominating defense and a quarterback that doesn't make too many mistakes and can make key plays at key times, you have an opportunity to be successful. Now, Zach Wilson wasn't that guy. So what do the Jets do? They go out, they get Aaron Rodgers when he's ready to move on from Green Bay. Coincidentally, years ago, they also got Brett Favre from Green Bay. That didn't work out. Who knows if this is going to work out? So they get Aaron Rodgers from Green Bay. But part of the deal to get Aaron Rodgers is like, yo, some of my guys got to come with me. His guy, Nathaniel Hackett, who is his offensive coordinator and a good friend of his, he's got to come along. Now, Nathaniel Hackett, now we're seeing he had some great years in Green Bay with Aaron Rodgers, but now we're seeing that was all prime Aaron Rodgers, because when he went to become the head coach in Denver, absolutely terrible. And then when he comes back and he's the head coach, the offensive coordinator for the past 2 years in New York with the Jets, he's absolutely terrible. So we know that Nathaniel Hackett is just not good, but he's Aaron Rodgers' guy. So Aaron Rodgers says, hey, you want me to come? Got to bring my guys. And of course, you got to pay me. So anyway, the whole thing is that Aaron Rodgers, 4-time MVP, Super Bowl champion, he is the missing piece that can lift this team, right? Take this defense, this elite defense, lift this team into a team that can contend for the first championship with the Jets since 1969. Cool. So a lot of hype, a lot of excitement. We know New York City is outstanding for hyperbole, right? We know that. Just look at Linsanity, right? We know that in New York City, everything gets blown out of proportion. Totally get it. Largest media market in the world. Cool. So now what happens is this. Going into last season, Aaron Rodgers on the 4th play of the first game against the Buffalo Bills on a Monday night, I believe, either Sunday night or a Monday night. But regardless, 4th play of the game against the Buffalo Bills, he tears his Achilles. He's 39 years old or 38 years old at the time. So that's a long and lengthy rehab process. Okay. He comes back this year, right? Again, a lot of excitement, but the excitement is tempered. Why? Because of his age, coming off of one of the most debilitating injuries in sports, one of the most difficult injuries in sports from which to recover. And so just like, we don't know what we're going to see now. As I mentioned to you, I just read off some of the stats. The Jets defense is elite again, right? We saw it, number 2 in passing, number 2 in total defense, one of the top scoring defenses. So just a really outstanding defense overall. But what's happening here? The offense is not getting it done. Go figure. So at this point, 5 games into the season, the Jets are 2-3 on the year. Okay. And funny thing, the Jets offense has scored, I think, 97 points this year, which is identical to the 97 points they had scored at this time last year with Zach Wilson as quarterback. But what do we keep hearing? Well, if you have Aaron Rodgers or even competent quarterback play, that's going to take us over the hump with this elite defense. Okay. So Aaron Rodgers is back. Now, that said, again, Aaron Rodgers, 39 years old. He's coming off the Achilles. A lot of recovery. Clearly not the same player athletically. A huge part of what made Aaron Rodgers so elite was his mobility outside of the pocket. Not necessarily mobility like Lamar Jackson, but his mobility in terms of extending plays and then being an extremely accurate passer while on the move. Okay, cool. And so he doesn't have that now. His mobility is severely hampered as a result of having recovered from this ACL, not this ACL, the Achilles injury. Now, we don't know if he simply doesn't have it anymore, or we don't know if he's concerned and doesn't trust his body. That could be part of the issue as well. But when you look at it, the point is he can't move the way he used to. And so this is the interesting thing, right? Aaron Rodgers, because of said mobility before, he could just stand at the line of scrimmage, survey the defense, see what they're doing, and regardless of what they're doing, he had the ability to escape it if he needed to, make the plays on the move, etc. But now, since he can't do that, I would say, as an offensive coordinator, as a coach, that we need to employ some more things to help you. Things like what? We need to try some different formations. We need to try some pre-snap movement. Pre-snap movement is one of the things I love most as a coach, right? Why? Pre-snap movement basically unveils what the defense is for you, all right? All right, will do, man. Will do. Appreciate you, bro. Yeah, pre-snap movement is one of the things I love, because pre-snap movement often will unveil what the defense is doing, where they are, and what type of scheme they're using. Because why? They have to account for the movement of the offensive players. But Aaron Rodgers is notoriously against pre-snap movement, which, if you're in a situation where you can't do things like you used to, I would think that you would try to do everything you could to maximize what you have left. And that is elite arm talent, that is elite intelligence, that is elite experience, and knowing that you've seen pretty much everything there is in the NFL to see from an offensive and defensive standpoint, right? But he doesn't want to do that. And so again, the Jets offense is suffering. Now, remember I was telling you the Jets offense in terms of points scored is in exactly the same place as it was last year, which it shouldn't be when you go from Zach Wilson to a 4-time MVP, guaranteed first ballot Hall of Famer. So this is problematic. So now you look at Aaron Rodgers this year. So far, again, I mentioned the Jets are 2-3 on the year. He's completing 61% of his passes, 6 yards per pass, 7 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. Those numbers are remarkably like Zach Wilson from last year. And it's unfortunate because no one is trying to tell you Zach Wilson's Aaron Rodgers, but clearly Aaron Rodgers is not the same player. But guess what? He got to get away with having everything he wanted, and Robert Saleh had to take the arrow for that, right? So if you're not new to this show, one thing about me, and you know this, is that I am 100% against giving players personnel say. I don't believe in it. Now, if I have a star player, I may, if I'm an owner or a GM or a president or whatever, I may consult with said star player, but you will not, under my watch, have personnel say. Why won't you have personnel say? People say it all the time. Bruce, why shouldn't that star have personnel say? Why? Because if the star says, I want this, I want that, this is what we should do, that's what we should do, and I do that and it doesn't work out, I don't get to get rid of the player. I got to end up firing the coach or firing that GM, and the player is left not having to hold any responsibility. And I'm big on that. You have to deal with the responsibility of what comes about when you make certain decisions. That's life, right? That's adulting. But when you give star players personnel say, they don't have to be responsible for the end result of the decision if it doesn't go well. And I'm not with that. I refuse to do it. And so they gave personnel say to Aaron Rodgers, and it didn't work out. And guess who had to end up taking the arrow for that? Of course, Robert Saleh. And as a side note, Robert Saleh is as a head coach, this is his first head coaching job, and there's a bit of historical precedent there because one thing is he's the first Arab American head coach in the history of the NFL. He's also the first Muslim head coach in the history of the NFL. So 2 things there, that's historical precedent, and that's cool that he can always, look and he could tell his kids or whoever, hey, I was a trailblazer among a certain demographic for being an NFL head coach. So we'll see if he gets another opportunity down the road to do that. Not sure. Maybe he will, maybe he won't. Hopefully, at the very least, he gets an opportunity to be a defensive coordinator again, because he was very good at that. Now, back to this whole thing. So I mentioned Jeff Albrecht he's the current defensive coordinator, and he will be the interim head coach. So we're going to see how he does. But I have some commentary here from First Take earlier today, where the crew was able to get in touch with Robert Saleh and not Robert Saleh. I'm sorry. They were able to get in touch with Adam Schefter, ESPN NFL insider Adam Schefter, at which point they went ahead and talked to him about this topic and got what information he had at the time. So I'm going to go ahead and play that. Be advised, it's about a 4-minute clip, so it's a little longer than the ones I normally play, but then we'll be back and we'll talk about this some more.
I want to bring in our Adam Schefter, who broke this news. Adam, good morning. Do you have us?
Good morning. You got me. I'm in a car in Michigan, so you'll have to forgive me. Literally was getting off the plane, got the call about Robert Saleh, and here we are. So I'm trying to steady the phone. They just named Jeff Ulbrich as the interim head coach. The defensive coordinator is going to be taking over for Robert Saleh as he becomes the first head coach to be let go during this season. He's got a year left on his contract after this season, but even this still is surprising. Now, this is a team, I think, that had looked a little off recently. They weren't looking exactly the way they should, and the Jets felt like they needed to do something to try to get this team back, and they pulled Robert Saleh of this decision here minutes ago.
Adam, Woody, the owner for the Jets, has never fired a coach in season, as far as I remember. Why now? What was the tipping point that made this happen right now, as opposed to a few more games or even getting through the season? Why now?
I think that they believe that they have a really good team. I think that they think this team, especially in that division, can compete to win the division, and it wasn't performing the way that everybody expected. If we watch this team, everybody would admit, every Jet fan, it looked off. They lost at home to Denver. They lost to Minnesota. What's odd is, in this day and age, in the National Football League, there are peaks and valleys to every team season. Everybody goes through them. But with the pressure in New York, I just feel like they felt like this is a team that should be performing better, winning more often. And Woody Johnson didn't want to squander what could potentially be the last year of Aaron Rodgers' career. We don't know if we'll see Aaron Rodgers again. They went out and traded for him last year with the idea that he was going to bring back this franchise. And he got hurt last year against Buffalo on Monday Night Football. And oddly enough, he'll be against Buffalo again this week on Monday Night Football. They have the extra day to get ready for the Bills on Monday night.
Right.
And they decided they felt like Jeff Ulbrich would bring a spark to this team that they didn't have under Robert Saleh.
Obviously, the belief would be there's no way this call would be made without his okay. And not only that, what about other players and what other players were saying about the coach inside that locker room prior to this move being made?
Yeah. Well, Stephen A., I don't know that Aaron Rodgers was involved in it, and I don't know that they consulted with him before they made the decision. I think ultimately the owner makes the call that he believes is best. And as you said, I can't remember the last time they fired a coach in season. It certainly hasn't been in recent history. But I just come back to this. I can't say that they went to the players and polled the players, or they spoke to Aaron Rodgers and Aaron Rodgers said, I want a new head coach. I believe that those two men did get along well. I believe there was a healthy respect there, despite the fact that people have been analyzing their relationship the last couple of weeks since the sideline hugs and whatever has happened or not happened. I think, in a nutshell, the team was not performing the way that Woody Johnson expected them to. And with them not performing the way they expected to, before the season slipped away, before it got too late, they made the dramatic move to make Robert Saleh the first head coach fired this season, 5 games into the season, as they begin to get ready for a key Monday night game against the Buffalo Bills.
Adam, why was Jeff Ulbrich the guy?
Well, Jeff Ulbrich is considered one of the brighter coaching candidates around the National Football League. The two coordinators are Jeff Ulbrich and Nathaniel Hackett. And so those are your choices, really. And I think that they felt like Ulbrich would bring a certain fire and energy to this team. And ultimately, that was the direction that they decided to go.
Hey, what specifically did they say was the issue with Robert Saleh? Was there some particular concern that they think will be improved now that they've moved on from him?
So they didn't get a response on that one. I think Schefter's signal went out at that point. As he mentioned in the beginning of the video, he was in the car in Michigan. So I'm sure as the day goes on and in the coming days, you'll hear more information regarding this firing. One of the things was a little bit earlier in this segment, I was talking about how I don't believe in giving players personnel say. So I was watching the facility when this breaking news happened, the facility on Fox Sports 1 with Emmanuel Acho, former Aaron Rodgers teammate James Jones, Super Bowl champion Shady McCoy, and Chase Daniel. Matter of fact, I think they're all Super Bowl champions on that show besides Acho. Anyway, this was interesting because Chase Daniel, he was a longtime NFL backup. I want to say 12 or 15 years, and he's been around a long time, got a lot of contacts in that league, has spoken to a lot of people. And so a couple of things that he said. First, he said he's not telling us what he thinks. He knows for a fact that Saleh and Aaron Rodgers hated each other. And I think that's pretty interesting because both of them, I guess, just trying to be professional. Saleh trying to be professional, hoping that down the line he can become a head coach again. And Aaron Rodgers not wanting to be perceived as a diva. Both of those guys try to downplay it and say they didn't have any issues in their relationship, blah, blah, blah. But if you have been watching the Jets and you kind of see the body language between the two, or you see the facial expressions, or you hear the commentary in the media, then you probably wouldn't believe that. You'll probably think that, there's something going on between the two of them in terms of maybe some consternation or angst, or they just don't get along. And a lot of times when you see championship level teams, there's a good connection between the starting quarterback and the head coach. Now, you didn't see that with Brady and Belichick, but those two are just they're the ultimate outliers. But generally, you do see that. So anyway, that was the first thing. Secondly, Chase Daniel said that he was being told from whatever channels he said, obviously he's not going to say a name, but that Aaron Rodgers was involved with the Robert Saleh dismissal, which I also thought was very interesting. And it wouldn't surprise me because, again, when you get these type of players that have a lot of power, they feel like they can do those things. And I'll tell you, if that's the case, man, I'm real disappointed in Aaron Rodgers. And the reason I would be very disappointed in Aaron Rodgers if that's the case is because why? Again, I went through this earlier. The Jets defense is doing their thing. They're one of the top defenses in the NFL. The offense is not. The offense is not doing what they need to do. And to make someone else a scapegoat like that and cost them their job, I think is disingenuous and dishonorable. If indeed that's the case, we don't know. I don't know that Chase Daniel would have any need to lie. But again, we don't know. I don't have any reporting on that to myself. And obviously I wasn't in the room, right? So Jay Glazer reports that he just talked to Robert Saleh. And Robert Saleh said he was blindsided by Woody Johnson walking to his office and letting him go. He says Saleh was certainly disappointed. He wasn't going to be given the opportunity to get things going with what he said is a very good roster. And I can certainly imagine where Saleh would be frustrated with that situation. I'm sure he thought that if he didn't get the ship righted, that he might not be back next year. But I do believe I would imagine that he thought he would survive the season regardless, because as we heard Stephen A. Smith say, this is the first time the Jets owner Woody Johnson has ever fired a coach in season, which is abnormal, right? Not sure what's going on. Not sure if he's got his eye on somebody else for next year, and he is working to start making those overtures already. Not sure. Could be Ben Johnson, could be Bobby Slowick, could be Clint Kubiak if the Saints can get back on track. Who knows who it might be? I'm just throwing names out there of hot, quote unquote, offensive coordinator guys. So who knows what Woody Johnson's plan is? But again, I didn't think that was cool because you handcuff your head coach, and then when it doesn't work out, you fire him. Like I don't know what he was supposed to do, and what type of Superman stuff you expected the guy to pull off. Like that's just not cool. So yeah, you got a lot going on in New York, man. This is crazy. I was just so surprised when I heard it. I was maybe shocked is the better word, because again, I truly didn't expect that Robert Saleh was not going to make it through the year. So thus far, he's got a record with the Jets as a head coach of 20-36, but again, not in the most optimal situation. But here's the other thing, right? Going into week 6, the Jets currently sit at a record of 2-3 in the division. I believe the Dolphins also sit at a record of 2-3. Patriots 1-4, and now Buffalo is 3-2. So it's not like the Jets were out of contention for anything. It would have been one thing if you say, man, look, we're just not seeing us going anywhere. You're 1-4 or you're 0-5. Oh, okay, maybe I get that. Cool. But you're 2-3, another win, right? Because we see that the Bills are on a 2-game slide right now. So if the Jets can could have pulled out a win on Monday night coming up here against the Bills, now you're suddenly 3-3. You're tied for the lead in the division. Well, you would have the tiebreaker because you would have beaten the division lead, right? You would have the tiebreaker, so you'd be at the top of the division. And going forward, you take things one game at a time. And who knows, maybe now you make it into the playoffs. And what do we always say about the playoffs? Just get into the tournament, right? Just get into the tournament. And from there, a lot of times you see a team get hot and make a run. Wild card teams have won the championship before, right? Just look at the Just look at the 2013 Baltimore Ravens, right? So it can happen. What you just need is, again, to get into the tournament. So, again, a lot going on here, man. Robert Saleh dismissed as head coach of the New York Jets. Defensive coordinator Jeff Albrecht will be taking over as interim head coach. And we're going to see if Aaron Rodgers and the rest of the offense can get themselves together. I have no confidence in that. Why? Because we haven't seen it. Nathaniel Hackett is terrible. We know that. It's a bad situation. But I really hope that Aaron Rodgers didn't have anything to do with this dismissal, because that would be just that would be terribly disingenuous. And I wouldn't expect that. That's just terrible, passing the buck when you're not holding up your end of the bargain. All right. So what I'm going to do now, we got a few people in the chat. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to open up the phone lines, see if we can if anybody wants to call in and give your thoughts on this Aaron Rodgers and situation and Robert Saleh's dismissal from the New York Jets. The phone number is 904-219-8264, 904-219-8264. It's also scrolling on the bottom of your screen. So if you want to call in, give me your thoughts on that. Let's do it, man. Let's go. Man, this is really tough. I'm super surprised by that. Like, you look at that while I'm waiting. I'll just keep talking to y'all. Okay, looks like we got a call coming in. Let's see what we got. What's going on? This is the Format Podcast. Who's calling from Hampton Roads?
This is the Underrated Darkness.
Oh, what's up, Underrated Darkness? What's going on, man?
I'm good. I just first ran to your podcast, so because keep up the good work. I was in the chat earlier. The thing about this, that you made some valid points and everything, and I did something. For me, originally from New York.
I hear you.
I know the Jets.
Yes.
History and historic history, us as a people. I'm not gonna get into that, but I would say this: that it needs to be done. But I'll say this: like the old people say, if you're gonna clean up the room, clean up the whole room.
Okay. Yeah. I see where you're going with that.
My thing is this: if you got Saleh away, that's why I'm saying you got Saleh. Okay, no problem. 2 or 3. Okay, you wasn't doing it. Okay, this is what I'm saying right now. Hey, you might as well be on the road. I'm not gonna say his name. I'm gonna say H. I'm being respectable.
Okay.
You get him out. Get Carter out. If we're gonna do that, get him out, so it could be some clear air. So the Jets, y'all could go. But if not, it's still gonna be a cloud.
Yeah, no, I feel you. But the thing is, like I said, Aaron Rodgers seems to have a lot of power in that organization, and Nathaniel Hackett is his guy. So Hackett is not going anywhere, right? So something interesting I saw that came across my phone from Bleacher Report was it's being reported that Nathaniel Hackett's job was in jeopardy prior to the Robert Saleh firing, right? And so I'm like, wait a minute, could it be now? This kind of lines up oddly, right? We don't, again, I'm not accusing Aaron Rodgers of having anything to do with Robert Saleh's dismissal, speculating. But we do know that Robert Saleh and Nathaniel Hackett are not Robert Saleh. Nathaniel Hackett and Aaron Rodgers are tight. That's his guy. And so if he knew that Nathaniel Hackett's job was on the line, maybe, just maybe, he had something to do. He says, hey, better to get rid of Saleh so I can keep my guy. What are your thoughts on that? You think that's a possibility?
Yeah. I mean, if it's floating out there, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's something to think about.
Mm-hmm.
Now, somebody say, hey, you a Jet guy. You saw stuff like that, but I ain't stupid.
Right.
You got to see that what it is. Aaron Rodgers a part of it. All right, Aaron Rodgers going to go down one of the best quarterbacks ever. All right, let's keep it out there. He's going to be first ballot. There's no doubt about that.
No question.
But at the same time, though, got to connect the dots.
Right. Exactly.
You got to connect the dots. And I'm glad you gave me that information so I could, hopefully you come to my show in a few minutes or wherever you get on. And then we could talk. You come to my channel and we could talk about it, because I think that's something that we need to look at, because if what you said, I'm not saying you, if that still floating out there, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm saying it's flown out there for 4, 5, 6 days. I said 2 going on 5 days.
Mm-hmm.
That is something to talk about. That's something to look into.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm saying like this, as the man to man, you better bet your bottom dollar. If it comes out like that, I'll give you credit. I said he the one gave the information. And if it comes out that if it's like that,
Mm-hmm.
you bet the rest for sure. I'm bombing him.
Yeah,
I'm bombing. I'm bombing him, because it shouldn't be like that.
Mm-hmm.
Because Hackett was not getting it done at the Jets.
Not at all.
He's not.
No, that's a fact. I mean, we saw how bad he was when he was head coach of the Broncos, and we saw how bad he's been as OC with the Jets both years. So that lets us know that the success that he was having in Green Bay, that was because he had Aaron Rodgers that was physically able to play at a high level. Now we see an Aaron Rodgers that can't play at a high level, so you got a whole lot more issues. And so we know Hackett is a phony.
And so for me, if you're a coach, you got to learn to adopt different situations.
Mm-hmm.
Hackett hasn't done it.
Mm-hmm.
You got Carter. Carter hasn't done it. So for my thing is just get them the hell out. Excuse my language. Get them out.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
If you're gonna clean house, clean house.
Right.
Don't just let Saleh come out. Okay, he didn't do a lot of stuff. No, you got to get him out.
Mm-hmm. But again, that's Aaron Rodgers' guy,
I
and
know.
I listen. Yeah. I don't agree with it, but they gave this guy the power from jump, so I don't think that's going to happen. You don't want a disgruntled Aaron Rodgers around you. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's the problem.
So now just the question is, now you got Saleh out, you got Audrey. He's an intern coach and everything,
Mm-hmm.
and the defense going to do their thing. I think defense is going to fix certain things. But what about the offenses now? Now we're talking about the Jets is going to be a front runner to get Devontae Adams. That's going to solve everything.
Right.
But there's other phases of the game that we got players to run the ball now, and I'm saying like the offensive line, it's okay. I said it's okay,
Mm-hmm.
but they got the injuries right there. What you gonna do then?
So the other problem is that the Jets are dead last in rushing in the league. So they can run the ball. They've got, Breece Hall is a very solid running back, and he can catch it, but they don't want to run. They don't want to run. They don't want to use pre-snap motion. The offense it appears to be very basic. It doesn't have much going for it. And, you have to do more, and you have to change things when your guy, Aaron Rodgers, who you think is going to take you to the promised land, is not the same guy. And that's not me taking shots at him. He's 39 coming off of one of the most debilitating injuries in sports. That is what that is. And so, yeah, they've got to do a better job of trying to run the football. But the problem is, again, like I said, Robert Saleh's hands were tied, man. I don't think he could have told Aaron Rodgers or Nathaniel Hackett much of anything. And that sucks for him, because now he's on the breadline. You know what I'm saying? So it's a bad look.
Yeah, I would say one last thing because after that I got to get ready for my show. But I would say this, that as you know, football, when you have any quarterback that comes from injury like that and they come back, you got to have a strong defense in the running game.
Yep.
You got to establish that.
That's right.
That would take pressure off. You could throw it up top and everything. And then you, at the same time, when you have a defensive just to shorten the field,
no question.
That's a win.
No, I'm with you. I'm with you. And they got half of that. They got the great defense, but like you said, they don't want to run it, man. But I'll let you run, get ready for your show, and when I get done here, I'm gonna come check you out, man.
And
I appreciate you calling, brother.
Yeah, thank you. And please support the brother, please.
I got you, man. I'm gonna come check you out.
Brothers that do that. All right. Thank you. Appreciate you.
No doubt, man. Thank you for calling.
Bye.
All right. All right. Brent Hendley, man. Good to see you. I don't think I've seen you before. Normally broadcast at night. So good to see you in here in the chat. Do me a solid, hit that like and subscribe on YouTube. Appreciate you. And so they don't want to run because Rodgers wants to pass. Yeah, absolutely. And I hope Saleh goes back to the 49ers as a defensive coordinator. I think that would probably be his best move because, guys off of that Shanahan and guys off of that McVay tree, those guys get guys head coaching jobs. You know what I'm saying? Guys get head coaching jobs off of that. So if he wants to be a head coach again, this is going to be a learning experience. And that's probably going to be a situation where he is able to hopefully have success, right? Because, they know him. He works well in that organization, and he had a lot of success in that organization. And right now, if we're honest, the 49ers defense is not looking the way it's looked over the past few years. So maybe they do need to bring him back in that capacity. Maybe they need to bring him back now as some sort of advisor or something because they have a deco, and then fire that guy when the season's over, put Robert Saleh back in that position. He does that for a year or two, and then he goes and becomes a head coach again. I would say that would probably be the best plan for him in terms of having future success and maybe becoming a head coach again. So we'll see. We'll see how that ends up going, man. Definitely. This is, again, man, I was really, really surprised by this whole thing. And I think, like I said, it would really, really suck if Aaron Rodgers is behind this, because that would be so disingenuous when at the end of the day, the real problem is you because you can't perform the way you once could, and your offensive coordinator is total garbage, and the defense is doing everything they can do, but they can only carry a bad offense for but so long, right? So, that's what we got. So, I don't think I have anything else on this topic today. I'm probably going to discuss it again tomorrow night on the Wednesday night show, and I'm in Florida, so providing I still have power tomorrow night, I'll be going live with my two of my guys that I normally do my show with on Wednesdays and Saturday nights. Hold on, let's see what we got. Remember, Rodgers probably got McCarthy fired in Green Bay. Yeah, I believe that. That wouldn't surprise me at all. He is, I don't know what's the word I want to use here, but he's a guy that seems like he can get pretty snippy and petty if he doesn't like what's going on. And so, again, I don't know for sure, but it would not surprise me at all if he got Mike McCarthy fired in Green Bay. And again, it really freaking sucks to see what happened to Robert Saleh. And again, I am not accusing him of getting Saleh fired. I'm saying it's odd how the timing lines up. And I don't know, Brent, if you were here earlier and heard me when I was saying how Bleacher Report put out a report earlier today saying that Nathaniel Hackett's job was basically in jeopardy prior to this firing. So I don't know if Aaron Rodgers had something to do with getting Robert Saleh fired so that he could keep his guy. Very possible. I'm not saying it's the case, but very possible. Chase Daniel, longtime NFL backup, a lot of connects in the league. He says he knows for a fact. He said he knows that Robert Saleh and Aaron Rodgers hate each other. And he said he was told that Aaron Rodgers had something to do with Robert Saleh getting fired. So another crazy thing I saw is that security apparently came and escorted Robert Saleh from the building after he was notified that his services were no longer needed, and he wasn't even able to address the team. There you go, Brent. Exactly. I wasn't looking at the chat, but yeah, he wasn't even able to address the team before he left. And I think that's just absolutely terrible. Like, what is Woody Johnson doing, man? This is really, really disappointing, man. This is poor by an owner, piss poor, I might say. So I don't like that at all, man. I think it was terrible. So we got what we got, man. But definitely over the coming days, I'm looking forward to more information coming out on this topic. I'm looking forward to more NFL insiders giving us kind of more stuff to discuss and kind of giving us more angles on how this came about and, what's the future for these guys. Let's see, Frank Loretta, that's disgusting that they had head of security escort Saleh out like a absolutely, right? That's funny because as you say that, the first thing I'm thinking when I read that is that they basically perp walked the guy, they perp walked him out of the building, man. That's not cool. Brent, hey, I appreciate it, man. I'm in Northeast Florida. I'm up here in Jacksonville, Duval, and where we're going to be by the time the storm gets here, God willing, is supposed to just be a heavy tropical storm and no longer a hurricane. So, hopefully that's the case, and we'll just get some heavy rain and some wind gusts, and hopefully it won't be too bad. But definitely, we are praying for the people further south and on the west coast of the state where the storm should hit with a lot of power. So, definitely praying for those people. But back to this, I think it's terrible that they had security walk this dude out. Like they couldn't let him talk to the team. Like, what is that? I think they know that the team likes him a lot. And so maybe the team would have had more questions and the team would not have been happy. And so they're like, look, let's just get this guy out of here. And then we'll drop the news to the team that Saleh's not here anymore. Cause I think that's just terrible, right? Like you said, Frank, they walk him out like a criminal. Not cool. By the way, Frank, appreciate you. Haven't seen you here before, man. Go ahead, do me a favor, hit that like and that subscribe button on YouTube. Make sure you hit the notification bell so you're notified whenever we drop new content on the channel. I got a whole lot of stuff here. I don't just talk football. I talk basketball. I talk boxing. Every now and then I'll talk soccer. I talk WNBA a lot. I'm a sports guy, right? I don't talk baseball and I don't talk hockey. So, but in general, I'm a sports guy. I talk about a lot of things. So I'm sure you'll find some other stuff on the channel that you enjoy. And when you do, not if you do, but when you do, make sure you share the channel with other sports fans, But yeah, back to it, man. This, I don't know. I've never seen anything like this. And it's funny because, again, I expected that Robert Saleh would get fired after the season was over. But when I was talking to my boy this morning and this came across and he was like, yo, your boy Saleh got fired. I'm like, wait, what? I'm not a Jets fan, but I am a Saleh fan. And so seeing that come across and then, hearing the other little things, hearing what Schefter had to say about it, hearing what Chase Daniel had to say about it, James Jones, Shady McCoy. I think most people are in agreement that this wasn't a good dismissal. This wasn't a good dismissal because, again, it's not like the Jets are out of position for anything, right? One more win, they're back up to 500. They're at the top of the division, and who knows what happens from there. So, just a bad look. And I'm curious to know who Woody Johnson is going to be looking at for the open head coaching job, right? I'm very curious to know who he has in mind, if he has anybody in mind for right now. I mentioned it. Is it Ben Johnson? Is it Clint Kubiak? Is it the great Bobby Slowick? I use great facetiously, but is it Bobby Slowick? Like who might it be? Is it somebody that we haven't thought about? Is it somebody who's been a head coach before? Like, I guess theoretically there's a lot of names out there. Maybe it's somebody from college. Who knows? But what are the Jets going to do? But I think this is bad overall because you just look at it and you say, this, again, was an unfair dismissal. It was just a bad situation overall. Saleh did everything. His hands were tied, and, now he's got to face the brunt of it. So once again, we see a situation where do not give players personnel say. Don't do it. Frank says Saleh's a nice guy, but not a good head coach. He gets out coached most of the games. Yes and no, right? So his defense keeps the team, the Jets, in games. But again, you have to ask yourself, for the most part, has he had elite skill talent offensively? Has he had even competent quarterback play offensively? Not really, right? So that's the problem. The only thing I'll give you is that his OC, I can't remember who it was, but his OC prior to Nathaniel Hackett, he hired that guy. So if the offense was bad, he hired that OC, so he's got to take responsibility for that. So I get that. I'll give you that one. But I don't think we know yet whether he's a good head coach or not because he hasn't had the opportunity to truly be a head coach. If you're a head coach, would you want to work with Rodgers? Not this version. Not this version. And honestly, as good as he once was, I'm not even sure how much I would want to work with the previous version, right? Because he's going to have all the power. And if he doesn't, I don't know, he doesn't particularly strike me as coachable, right? He strikes me as a guy that if you're calling stuff that he doesn't like, he's going to be difficult with you. And I don't know. I mean, maybe you'll have some guys who are difficult as a head coach, but I don't know if I want to deal with my star quarterback being difficult with me if I call something he doesn't like. He doesn't strike me as a guy that you're going to be able to say, hey, Aaron, I need you to do this, right? He may do something to set you up. He may do something just like he may have something open, but he strikes me as a kind of a petty guy who may like make a bad play on purpose, not a turnover because that'll hurt his stats, but like throw the ball away or something like that, just to tell you, see, I told you it wouldn't work, like that kind of guy. So I don't think that I would want to work with Aaron Rodgers if I was a head coach. I can't really see that. Nah. Yeah, I don't think I would like to. No. What else we got? Yeah, so I guess that's about it. Guys. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna stop it now. I appreciate everybody who stopped in to check out the live. Make sure if you haven't already, you click the like and subscribe on the way out, and make sure you share the show. Again, got tons of content on the channel and constantly growing. Got stuff by myself, got stuff with my guys, and you should be entertained and educated when it comes to this sports stuff. All right, so make sure you check us out. Providing we have Power tomorrow night, Wednesday, we should be back on at probably around 8:00, probably around 8 tomorrow night to do our Wednesday live. And then we generally go again live on Saturday, but a lot of times I have stuff in the interim. So yeah, just make sure you hit that notification bell so you know when the new stuff is coming out. But yeah, I'll leave it right here. Hope all y'all have a great day. Again, thanks for checking in, and yeah, stay around. I'm out. Peace. Yes, Brent, that's 8 Eastern time. 8 Eastern time. Yep. So yep. You all have a good one, and I'll see you next time. Appreciate you.